They used their native language during World War II to relay critical battlefield information using a code the Germans were never able to break. The Comanche Code Talkers are all gone, but the Comanche National Museum in Lawton is preserving their legacy and stories that might have otherwise been lost in the fog of war.
The Comanche Code Talkers song celebrates Comanche tribal members who saved countless American lives without firing a shot. One of them was Charles Chibity. Chibity grew up near Lawton and attended Fort Sill Indian School, where he was forbidden to speak Comanche.
Every once in a while, me and my little cousin get together. Larry Sopity, he was in the Signal Corps with us. We always laugh and we always say, maybe they're trying to make little white boys out of us.
When war broke out in Europe, 17 Comanches enlisted in the U.S. Army. 14 of them went overseas. There, they kept the Germans in the dark about Allied troop movements by transmitting messages in their native language. Phyllis Wahahrockah-tasi is executive director of the Comanche National Museum and Cultural Center in Lawton. She says, until several years ago, few people knew the story of Code Talkers.
We just don't go about boasting and bragging about the works that we've done, and so it's carried on that you didn't hear about it. You didn't really talk about a lot of it, and most people, when they come back from war, really don't like to talk about what they've seen.
The 2002 movie Wind Talkers raised awareness about Native American speakers in the military, but that film focused on the Navajos and the Pacific Theater.
The Comanche Code Talkers were actually the first, and we want to showcase that not through the eyes of Hollywood, but through the eyes of the great Comanche Nation and tell the story from a Comanche perspective. It wasn't until this last year of Charles Chibity's life that he really made out a mission after he realized that he was the last one and this story had to be told. So he really hit the ground trying to tell their story.
Chibity died in 2005. Much of his war memorabilia and photos contributed by the families of other Comanche Code Talkers are now on display at the museum. Thomas Cottlecully is a nephew of Chibity and fellow Code Talker Larry Sopity. Cottlecully knew his uncle served in the military.
But we didn't know there were Code Talkers during the war. And just little by little, during our years growing up, we'd start finding out more about it. And we were kind of amazed that they'd done that.
George Red Elk's father, Roderick Red Elk, was the youngest of the Comanche Code Talkers, only 17 years old when he enlisted.
When the call come, he wanted to go. He had to get permission from his mom because he was too young.
He was also too small.
But all the rest of his buddies said that if he don't go, we don't go. So that sergeant there said, well, go home, feed him bananas and water, and come back tomorrow and we'll reweigh him.
All of the Comanches who enlisted were assigned to the 4th Infantry Division, where they began crafting their unbreakable code.
They were trained to make a code for a code. So it was a word that they used, a common one that you hear a lot in some of the literature is wahahrockah, which means tank. So they had to think of an item. What did the tank, the characteristics of a tank? So in creating that, even Comanche people couldn't break that code.
In 2002, Charles Chibity recalled how the code was created.
A turtle was a tank because we could not say a tank, so we used the word wahahrockah, turtle. We knew we was talking about a tank.
In that interview, more than half a century after the D-Day invasion, Chibity still remembered the first message sent by the Code Talkers on Utah Beach.
We are 5 miles to the right of the designated area, 5 miles in there. The fighting is getting fierce and we need help.
Part of the Code Talkers' challenge was creating words for terms which had no Comanche equivalent.
Just like a bomber. Bomber, airplane, wahahrockah-tasi was at the P-47 fighter plane. But we could not say that bomber in that bomber part. So we use the word, no, off the a pregnant airplane because it has all them bombs in it.
Chibity earned 5 campaign battle stars during the war, but it would be nearly 45 years before the Code Talkers were officially honored for their contributions. In 1989, the French government named each Code Talker a Knight of the National Order of Merit. More than 10 years later, Chibity was presented the Knowlton Award for significant contributions to military intelligence. Later this year, the Comanche Code Talkers are expected to receive an even higher distinction.
The Comanche Nation has been trying to get a Congressional Gold Medal for the Code Talkers for some time now, and it looks like that is finally going to become a reality. We've received word that it could have happened as early as this spring, but now it's looking like it's going to be pushed back to the fall.
The museum's director of public promotion, Candy Morgan, says when the medal is awarded, the museum will expand its Code Talker exhibit. Thomas Coddlecully wishes recognition had come sooner for his Uncle Charles and the others.
When they come out and they honor him and everything, he said they should have done this when all the Code Talkers were still living.
Charles Chibody voiced his own regrets upon receiving the Knowlton Award. The last of the Comanche Code Talkers, Chibody remembered those who had gone before him. He said, "I know they are looking down on me, and they are with me. We did it all together."